Did John see a succession of 8 kings leading up to the return of Christ in glory? Look at Revelation chapter 17 and see for yourself. John saw an image that had 7 heads and 10 horns. We will be focusing in on the meaning of the 7 heads. Let's start with verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels which had 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth hath committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Again, what we're going to be looking for right now is what was meant by the 7 heads of the image. In verse 7, the angel told John that he, the angel, was going to tell John what the meaning is. Let's read verse 7. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore dost thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath 7 heads and 10 horns. We read about one interpretation in verse 9. And here is the mind that hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Now look at verse 10. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. So there are 7 kings that John saw. That's what the 7 heads represent, as well as they represent 7 mountains, but they represent 7 kings. Now look at verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th. The 8th what? They were just talking about kings. He's the 8th king. The beast is the 8th king, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. John did see a succession of 8 kings. Does the last one get defeated when Christ returns in glory? Yes. See for yourself. We learn in Revelation chapter 19 verses 20 and 21 what happens to the 8th king, the beast, when Christ comes back. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat on the horse, which sword proceedeth out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. That's what happens to the wicked people going to fight against Christ when Christ comes back in glory. Now, seeing, reading, and knowing that John saw a succession of 8 kings leading up to the return of Christ in glory, it's now time to show that Daniel did too. This is amazing information. This is not widely known. Yet, watch. This information is going to go around the world, and it needs to. It's great and important information. We now know which of the 8 kings is in power today, what his name is, what country he is over, what he will do next, how he will die, and what will happen to his country when he dies. And there is a lot more information. In planning our future, it is important to consider the future God has shared with us. Have you ever heard the saying that if you want to humor God, just tell him what your plans are? When I learned about the prophetic events leading up to the return of Christ in glory, I also had to change my plans and work with God on new ones. You know the saying, all things are possible with 2 people as long as one of them is God. That has been a great blessing in my life, and I know it can be in yours too. I believe there are great blessings to be gained by searching the Scriptures, drawing closer to Christ, gaining a greater understanding of the future, and seeking inspiration on how to best avoid unnecessary negative experiences, and work with God to make the best plans for you and your family. Now, did Daniel see the same succession of 8 kings? Yes. See for yourself. Watch the next short video. Daniel saw the same succession of 8 kings.